And welcome back to the channel. This is Thomas Goes Nostalgic, and on this episode, we're going to be doing a toy room collection tour to end off 2022. And folks, as we get into this room, I'm going to save the best part for last. So if you want to stick around to the end, I'll show you my crown jewel of my collection room, and we'll get into it. So stick around, and for now, let's start the tour. All right, folks, and welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to end the year by doing a collection tour of my toy room, my collection room. I wanted to show off all my collection, but most of all, the new dioramas that I've built throughout this year. So this whole year has been about learning diorama building, and I've learned some great skills. I can't wait to learn more in the following year, but really this channel is about collecting, but also how can you display your collection in the coolest way possible. So hopefully I'm able to capture that. I can give you all some cool ideas, but I'll just kind of go around my room. Now this is a small room, it's 10 by 10. I still have some real estate, but I'll be moving out of this room shortly because I just want some more wall space. So I did have some damage in this room during the hurricane, so it'll give me a chance to repaint and an excuse to get rid of those gross popcorn ceilings. So I'm going to start off the collection tour by just giving a vague overview of what you'll see. You'll see lots of Marvel Legends, Ninja Turtles, but then you'll see a mixture of some other things. So we'll look at some of these dioramas, but I'll start off with some of the smaller shelves. So I have a shelf that's kind of a catch-all, just some vinyl toys. I don't really collect pops, but I have a few. Jeffrey the Giraffe, that was a cool one that my brother got me. Then I have some of these Vinylmation. Those were big at Disney for a while. I love the Genie, so you'll see him pop up throughout the tour. And then I have some Lego Batman. They're on this shelf right here. I found that cool shelf. Not sure where, but just kind of fit with all those Lego. And then I have some Batman artwork. So wherever there's a closet door or a door that's opening and I can't put a shelf there, I try to put some cool artwork. So these are by an artist named Tommy Castillo. I think he's local to Tampa, but I always thought these were pretty cool. I have a Joker and Harley Quinn one that I have not displayed yet, but loving those. And then getting into some of the dioramas. So this was one of the first dioramas that I built. This was the Galaxy diorama that I built for my Cosmic Marvel Legends. So it holds most of them pretty well. So I have lots of Heralds of Galactus, some random Thor characters. I love Beta Ray Bill. I wish they'd come out with a different one. I just got that Terrax and the Fallen One 2-pack. So I can't wait to open my Galactus and get him all set up. And of course my Fantastic Four. So I had the suited Johnny Storm, but I definitely wanted the Flame On one for when I display him with my Galactus. Then moving on to another shelf. Now this is one of my favorite dioramas that I've built. This is my Toys R Us diorama, and this was based off of a Toys R Us where I grew up in Brooklyn, and I wanted this diorama to be celebrating all things toys, but all things that I loved as a kid. So G.I. Joes, Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, and then you'll see some newer figures on there. So Hasbro Fortnite Man Cake, definitely one of my favorite figures of the year. And I got my selfie series, so I'm at Toys R Us. My favorite G.I. Joe is Dusty. Favorite Ninja Turtle is Donatello. And I think that's what we did as kids. We never really cared about not mixing figures together. They were always kind of mixed up, and maybe when we got older we wouldn't mix them up so much. Matt Cardona, the Super 7 Major Wrestling Figure Podcast figures, those are pretty cool. I know he's a big toy collector, so wanted to make sure that I had him buying a bunch of toys. So those are all the mini brands, and then he's holding some of his cash right there. So love making this diorama. I love the Toys R Us styles with that tile going around, and then just being able to get that Jeffrey on there was pretty cool. Robin was always one of my favorite DC characters. I wish that McFarlane would make a style McFarlane Robin just like that. And then see this little corgi, I just got that. I have 2 corgis, so I wish there was some kind of action figure toy line to represent them, but I'll stick with that for now. And then just kind of a random area here. I got 2 McFarlanes there, Spawn and Bane. Not really into the McFarlane figures, but I wanted a classic Spawn, and I also did love that Bane. Now Action Force, if you're not familiar with, this is a great toy line. I'm digging it. They come with so many accessories. I think this is Tony from Analog Toys, if you watch that channel. So pretty cool. If you haven't collected any of these figures, they're pretty awesome. And then here I have my Doctor Strange diorama. So this is from Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Now this one was really cool to make. So it was that floating wall. I think when they're trying to get America Chavez through safely before the Scarlet Witch attacks, but this is pretty cool. We don't have a Rachel McAdams figures, but I just put Wong there for now. But this one was pretty cool. And I just made a random background that's supposed to be blacklight activated, but I kind of got the lights on now so you can't tell. And I have this photo here. I think I picked this up at a Tampa Bay MegaCon, and I think this is the 30th anniversary of the Turtles in comics. I just love the artwork on here because you had cartoon versions of Bebop and Rocksteady, but then you had the toy version of Slash in comic book form. So I always thought that was pretty cool. Maybe that'll make a pretty decent display. We have most of the figures to make this, so I think that's pretty rad. Moving on down, I have my Mutagentor 4-pack. Now, these guys, they were really hard to find at the time, and then they started popping up everywhere. I think you can still go into Target and probably catch them. But these are pretty cool piece of Ninja Turtle history. There's definitely some other one-off Ninja Turtle figures I'd love for them to make. So we'll see, but I love these guys. And this set is from extremesets.com. So if you're not really into diorama building, you can just go to their website and pick up some of these cardboard fold-up dioramas. They're pretty cool, and they do the trick. And then below them is my only 1/4 scale NECA turtles. So I love these baby turtles. Thought they were pretty cool. They come with the pizza box and the pieces of pizza. And then I have another extreme set that they are standing on. Found that Hot Wheels from a friend, so that's pretty awesome. I love the turtle van. And then this figure was from the Batman TMNT crossover, and I had this little arcade console 3D printed and made from someone on eBay, so I thought that was pretty cool. I'll have him play that. Love to make an arcade diorama soon. Some of my coasters from the Loot Crate. Now, you might recognize these bed sheets. Now, these are from the 90s or 80s, but I found a set on eBay, and I asked my mom to make some curtains for me. So I have some curtains there. I have a pillowcase. And then this is just kind of my hangout room. So I did do a review of this. This is like a wrestling buddy that you can get made of yourself. So my brother's able to get me that. I love the genie. So again, we'll see another genie up here. So I built this Ancient Ruins diorama. So I have Hercules, I have the McFarlane genie, and then this figure is named Grimes. If you're not familiar with the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, I suggest you check them out. All of their releases are about to come out soon, I believe. We're just getting some product shots and packaging shots. So if you haven't checked this line out, it's super cool. It's different animals and kind of that ancient body armor. Pretty cool, but I love the Old English sheepdog. And then the diorama right next to it is my Sad Wolverine diorama. So the scene from the X-Men animated series that got pretty popular, I decided to take my animated Wolverine and make that scene just to fill up some shelf space. And then I've been using the hood as like kind of a angry toy collector guy. So he's playing with my mini mutants back from the 90s, where it seems like everything was made into a little playset, but I somehow still have those figures, and I thought that would be a cool little scene for him to play with. Moving on, if you haven't seen these shelves, these are kind of the fire escape shelves, and this is just an awesome idea if you're just looking to get some figures on the wall and you want a cool kind of set piece. I think this is for plants, so I kind of have a random assortment on here. I have the Miles Morales Spider-Man here, so the Spider-Verse. Then some Daredevil figures. I love that Kingpin. Love the Armored Spider-Man. Hand Ninja. that was one of the first Spider-Man figures I bought because I was really trying not to buy too many comic figures, and that didn't go so well. But then this shelf is pretty cool. So I love that Blade figure, but this Jack-O-Lantern, you don't hear a lot of people talk about him. He's one of my favorite Marvel Legends that we have. So I think Doctor Doom, Jack-O-Lantern, and then there's a few others. So we'll check out some more Marvel Legends, but for now, here is my Tommy Oliver Green Ranger poster. So I love the Green Ranger growing up. His name was Tommy. My name is Thomas. I love green. So when he changed to the White Ranger, I just love following the character. So, and now we're looking at my Power Rangers display. So now when we're looking at this is one of the first videos that I posted. This was the Power Rangers diorama, and I figured they were always fighting in the desert, so I wanted to make a multi-tiered diorama so I can fit a whole bunch of figures. And it was good. They were all spaced out, and then these TMNT Power Rangers figures came out. Now I do love them, so I'm glad they came out. And that Finster came out this year, as well as the Green Ranger Shredder. I think he is absolutely awesome. One of my favorites of the year as well. And that guy, also one of my favorites. So Pudgy Pig, one of the greater figures of the year. But just a cool display, getting the Power Rangers and Turtles. I like the quality of Hasbro figures. I know NECA has some QC issues, which is kind of my grief with them. But when I knew Hasbro was making some turtle figures, I knew that these would be some solid pieces. So love that whole collection. Got them mixed up with my Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Then I'll kind of skip over the cases for a second. If you've been watching my channel, one, thank you. And if you've ever been wondering what my logo is, if you've ever seen Batman Forever, I love the Neon Gang from that movie. So I kind of designed my logo after the Neon Gang. There was never any toys of that, but if McFarlane ever gets the rights to some of these older Batman movies, maybe we'll get a Neon Gang figure. But I think that's some high hopes there. I have this console that my cousin made me, and he actually loaded a whole bunch of old games on there. So anything from NES to Sega Genesis to 64, PlayStation. So it's just a cool console that he somehow knew how to program. So I thought that was pretty neat. And the Plunderlings. So these are a toy line that I can't get enough of. I love these figures. The designers really think about the collector when they're building them. And I just have a great time when I'm looking at them. So they're pretty cool. I have a few more on the way. I'll have to make a bigger display for them. Right now they're just sitting on my PlayStation. I don't really play many games, so when I move into the other room, I'll be able to expand on this diorama. But if you don't know Plunderlings, go out and check them out. Then I just have my older Ninja Turtles. Not all of them from childhood. Some I've acquired over the years, but I just thought it was super cool to have at least one of the play sets that I grew up with as a kid. And I think diorama building to me is just building the play sets that I never had, or the ones I had that I wish they were a little different. So I think that's where the passion for that comes. But love having at least some vintage toys on the shelf. I don't know if you can see, but the Wolverine and Gambit poster back there, that was my first comic book that I've ever bought. And Gambit was always one of my favorite characters. So just to get that picture, somehow I just found the actual cover. I was able to frame that up and get it up there. Okay, so we're going to start with the MCU Marvel Legends. So these are some great figures. This is kind of what got me into collecting Marvel Legends, at least. When Endgame ended, I really wanted something to kind of commemorate that. Whatever your thoughts are on the MCU, it's the first time in film that we ever had a serialized group of movies that kind of culminated into one finale. So I know the MCU is going some weird directions now, but for what it stands for, I absolutely love the MCU. So I do collect both comics and MCU, so I don't really feel like I need to pigeonhole myself into one. But this is my Avenger self and Age of Ultron. So I like having that team up shot from the first Avengers movie. Probably not the accurate Iron Man, so I think I have one on the shelf below. And then this shelf is mostly Iron Man and Captain America. So I think one half was supposed to be mostly Captain America. Can't see Peggy back there. So all the Captain America figures. I know that Sharon Carter is more from the Falcon Winter Soldier show, but I want to put her there. And then just a bunch of different Iron Man suits and Iron Man related characters. I know a lot of people buy the Toy Box Iron Man playset, the Disney one. I think that would be cool to kind of get in the future and put all these suits in. But looking pretty cool. Love the Infinity Saga figures that came out. I was always really happy with those. Okay, now moving on to some of my other MCU figures. I kind of did the top 3 shelves here. Those are all Infinity War and Endgame. So I have 2 Infinity War shelves. So this is the Battle of Wakanda. So you'll see I have the Build-A-Figure Cull Obsidian. I did get the Black Order 5-pack where I was able to use the other Cull Obsidian in the Endgame. The Falcon from the Falcon and Winter Soldier 2-pack. And just trying to recreate that scene from Infinity War. So there's a bunch of little mini scenes going on. You have the ladies fighting Proxima Midnight, Hulkbuster fighting Cull Obsidian, and then Thor putting the axe through Thanos. So pretty cool. I'm glad we got an updated Captain America here. And here I have my Eternals and Black Panther display. Now I really do like the Eternals figure. So despite what you think of the movie, these figures do look good. All their face sculpts are great, and they have all new sculpts for the bodies and the outfits. I don't think they could kind of cut corners there, but they look great all together. And I put my Black Panther figures on this same shelf because this is just kind of a stone base diorama that I built just so I didn't have to keep buying those plastic risers. This was just a cool small project to do to save a few pennies and get my figures on multi-level. So you can really see almost everybody pretty well with this type of diorama. You'll see it again in the tour. And this is my Endgame shelf. So this one, again, I was trying to capture that end scene from Endgame. So you have Ant-Man and Cull Obsidian in the back. That's the more film accurate one. Those not so film accurate time travel suits, or quantum suits. And then just trying to capture that end battle at the end. So when I noticed my figures starting to get a little kind of lost in the shuffle here, that's when I knew I wanted to kind of rethink the display and move them out of these glass cabinets. They're not necessarily my favorite, but for now I have them in those little scenes. And then this is my Phase 4 shelf, which if you think the movies were kind of a mess, these figures are not the best either. A lot of these peg worn for a while, but kind of a completist with the MCU. So for now, I do think the Shang-Chi figures were great. Although Katie definitely sat on the shelves for a while. The Thor Love and Thunder figures were awesome, and then that movie was definitely not one of my favorites, but not sure what to do with this shelf yet. Pretty upset about Rintrah. You know, he's the Build-A-Figure and then was in the movie for like 5 seconds. And then also glad they re-released Red Guardian. So I took the older one and put the helmeted head on there and the unmasked head and put it on the other body. So thought that was good use of that. Then this is my second Infinity War shelf. So you can see I have kind of that scene on Titan with all the Avengers kind of battling Thanos. I have an extra Thanos and Iron Man on the shelf because I didn't know where else to put them. Then I put that Astral Form and Doctor Strange there. I figure he could kind of be fudged into that display. But then you have some smaller scenes. So Captain Marvel didn't have enough figures to kind of, I guess, necessitate a whole shelf, so it goes there. And then Loki, and he's kind of in that opening scene. So moving down, this is my Disney Plus shelf. Now I do love these figures. These are probably the best MCU figures of the year. Again, despite what you think of the shows, I did like most of the shows. Miss Marvel was kind of forgettable. I loved Hawkeye. I thought Hawkeye was really cool. Moon Knight was cool. Loki was great. WandaVision was cool. She-Hulk, I was defending She-Hulk up until the last episode. And then that last episode, I was kind of not on its side anymore. So I think she did a great job playing She-Hulk. But so I do love these Disney Plus figures. I haven't gotten that other wave in yet with Khonshu. So I'm hoping to get that one soon. I think Kate Bishop and Hawkeye might be two of the best MCU figures I have of the year, as well as that Moon Knight. And then here is my Thor and Guardians display. I figured it was kind of galactic, so I put them all on one shelf. But we definitely got a better selection of Thor figures with Odin, Grandmaster. We got that Lady Sif in the Thor 2-pack. I think that Scourge is one of the best figures of the last couple of years. And then I do have some of Phase 4 on here with Gore, Lady Thor, and Thor in his Ravager costume. So I love that. And then the Guardians. That Yondu was probably one of the hardest MCU Marvel Legends to track down. And it definitely wasn't cheap, but the collector, I remember rushing out to get that that was the Comic-Con exclusive, and then he was being sold pretty readily available on the Disney store, so that was pretty annoying. And right here I have my Ant-Man and Spider-Man displays. There wasn't enough characters from those films, so I was able to get them on one shelf. Just kind of made sense to me. So kind of have them mixed and matched. Like you can see, I have Spider-Man fighting Venom back there. Love these civilian characters we finally got from Spider-Man. Triple J right there. Love that. Then down here is a display that I made for the What If characters. So I got that 3D printed sign. This is a blacklight activated diorama. Pretty hard to show right now just with all the lights. But these figures are super cool. And I wasn't looking to collect another subline, but I think that, especially with figures like that zombie Captain America, this was an easy pick for me. What's that called? The Hydra Stomper. I thought that figure was super cool. So had to get him even though I didn't want him. Then down below, might be a little hard to see here, but I have my Netflix Defenders figures and my Fox movie X-Men. So with the Defenders, I was not going to pay full price for that Defenders 4-pack. I had that Iron Fist custom made head that I just put on an Everett Ross body. Some of the paint wore off a little, but his face sculpt does look great. But that Daredevil, glad I have that now that he's back in the MCU. I've seen tons of people customizing him yellow and red, but he is way too pricey on the secondary market to be customizing him. I love my Stan Lee figure. Kind of have him sitting there with these characters. And then the Fox franchise. So I think right now I have Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart's head on there, but I kind of switch it up sometimes. And then Cable and Deadpool, probably my two favorite of the line. So here is my X-Force, X-Factor, New Mutants, just kind of a mixture of all those characters. So again, here I built those risers. So this time I did the stonework purple. If you look at some of the older comics, it always looked like they were fighting on different colored terrain. So I thought that was pretty cool. But this, I can fit so many characters on here, and you can see most of them. Right there in the back, Magic, another one of my favorites in the collection. But this is just a great shelf. I'm probably going to put Longshot on here. Probably Banshee's going to go on there with that terrible Siren figure, but it's all right. But got some of my favorite characters on there. Had to get the Italian strong guy on there. Love that. Now for this shelf, these two are kind of catch-alls. I told myself I wouldn't collect comic Avengers, but I do have a few. But then it's just for some of those random characters or doubles that I've had. So like I have multiple Rogues and Psylocks, Sabretooths. Don't really need them front and center of the display. I have too many Deadpools, but just kind of making a unique display. So this is a half shelf in the DTOF. If you get these clips on Etsy, I think you just type in DTOF clips. And if you had another extra glass shelf, you can kind of make two shelves out of one. So pretty cool. But I do have some Avenger Marvel Legends. So Riri Williams, I think that was one of the great Marvel Legends of 21. Silver Centurion, that is my favorite version of Iron Man. This Captain America was definitely one of the best Marvel Legends of the year. There's my dog barking in the back. This Black Panther left some to be desired, but just kind of glad he's on my shelf. And then for some reason, I'll always go back to Brown and Yellow Wolverine as one of my favorites. So here is one of my, I guess this is the centerpiece of my display room for now. So this is my X-Men Sentinel diorama. And this was definitely at the beginning of diorama building, so I wasn't really great at most things yet, but this is just a cool scene that I wanted to build. Like the Sentinels breaking into a building, and all the X-Men just kind of attack. He has Professor X in his hands. He has Morph, of course, but just I think there was a lot of people that had DTOFs and didn't know how to display it. So when I built this, I just kind of to show people like, hey, you can still make a pretty cool diorama and get your Sentinel in. So might do the same for the Galactus. We'll see if I can actually pull it off and create something that doesn't look too crowded, but get him on the shelf nonetheless. And then you can kind of see all the rubble down there, and they're all fighting him. Now he kind of hit a Deadpool in the back because, again, there's too many bishops on the side there. Pretty neat. Then we have my X-Men villains. So these I definitely want to spread out and give them some more love. I have the Hellfire Club that I haven't opened yet. I have that Wolverine 5-pack. There's just so many characters, like I don't want to squeeze them in. So I think after a few characters here, I said that I would kind of start thinking of my display. Bonebreaker, definitely one of the best figures, best builded figures of the year. That guy is so awesome. But Sauron is probably one of the best builded figures in my collection. Really do love him. I don't really collect Spider-Man, but sometimes those retro card backs look really good, and I can't help myself, but I put Doctor Strange there for some reason. Armored Spider-Man and Black Spider-Man, these two were my favorite because those were the only two Spider-Man figures I had as a kid. So when they came out with those, I definitely had to get them. But then I just have some random figures that either were part of a Build-A-Figure wave and I just didn't want to get rid of them, but thought they'd look pretty cool. I have Silk kind of hanging upside down there. I thought this Jonah Jameson was one of the best retro carded figures. So cool that they gave us him. And then that lizard, when I saw that lizard's face sculpt and knew that it was 1980 Secret Wars, definitely had to get that one immediately. So it's my Spider-Man shelf. All right, moving on to my last two shelves of my Marvel Legends. So this is kind of another catch-all. It's a lot of Iron Man suits, a lot of variations. So like Hawkeye, Old Man Logan, didn't really know where to put them. Sharon Carter there. Now I love that old style Storm, and the Love Triangle 3-pack is my Wolverine. My favorite Wolverine, so I got to find a cool way to display them. But Mojo and MODOK definitely need to find a different home because they don't make sense there. But Punisher, and then again Jigsaw, one of the better figures of the year. So I do love him. And my last Marvel Legend display shelf is for Dazzler. She's one of my favorite X-Men characters. I think she's very underrated. Cool backstory. I did the episode where I built this diorama, but I just love having this display. So if you're ever wondering like how big of a display can you fit in the DTOF, I mean this one covers the whole thing. So I have all that disco ball material going along the diorama, the disco floor, and then you have some random characters, some not so random, on the dance floor. So I think in the original story, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Nightcrawler, they all went to rescue her. So I have Cyclops and Nightcrawler on the dance floor. Beast and Dazzler had some kind of romantic relationship. She-Hulk is just there, probably because she likes the nightlife. Gambit and Rogue are sharing a dance. Colossus having a good time. And then here you have Ulysses Claw, probably looking to cause some trouble, but we know Dazzler can take care of him in a second. But this one was, again, one of my favorites to work on. I love how the roof came out. If you ever look at the ceiling in an old nightclub or an old dance hall, they all kind of look like that. So that was one of the best things, I think, just looking at a piece of material and knowing I wanted to use that for the dance floor ceiling. So pretty awesome. And then behind it, there's an iPad back there that I just put a visualizer on, but it reminds me of those kind of 70s bowling alley visuals. The film or the plastic piece you see in between the iPad and the diorama, that is just from a fluorescent light bulb fixture that I just cut to fit the stage. So thought that was pretty cool. And then those light poles, those are from Five Below. So I think every time I go, they have millions of them. So if you're looking to get those, they're USB. So I just plug them into a portable battery underneath the stage, and you can't even tell. And then those lights that I have there kind of shine up towards the disco ball. So definitely one of my favorite pieces. One of the best ways I like to display these Marvel Legends. And before I get to the last piece of my diorama, I just have some cool artwork behind the door. This puzzle during the pandemic, that's all I was doing, was building puzzles. I glued this one and framed it. Then I have these posters that are from on the streets of New York City. If you ever walk the streets of Manhattan, there's just art vendors selling some random art. I just thought this was funny because it was a mix of DC and Marvel. And then you have Amazing Spider-Man from Andrew Garfield, and then some random Venom figure. And then you have these superheroes recreating a famous picture of the Beatles. And then Christmas gift from my girlfriend was this Marvel picture of our dogs. So Claude and Wanda, we named the new puppy Wanda Max the Korg, so pretty cool. And then some cool Turtles artwork. And I kind of wanted to save my best displays for last. These figures are pretty much what got me into collecting. Right now, I don't have them on any cool display. They're just kind of on the shelf. You can see some unopened photos, some figures there. But I'm going to get into my Toon figures soon. But I bought this pipe shelf from Lowe's, I believe. Just kind of went with the turtle aesthetic. And if you see this acrylic piece of plastic, so this is kind of my big thing with NECA. I had to build kind of these nets so that if they fell, they didn't break. Because if you drop these one wrong way and then they're broken and you can never find them again, or you're paying secondary prices. So I try to keep my NECA figures pretty safe and pristine. But the only thing I'm really missing from this line that I wanted is the Spirit of Splinter. And I'm just not going to kind of fork over the money for that. But again, these four, this is what got me into collecting again. So I saw them. I saw how accurate they were to the movie. And I thought, there's no way that I'm going to pass these up. So, and then it kind of started the obsession. And I wanted to end this tour with my favorite part of the room, and that is my complete TMNT NECA cartoon display. So this is what got me into diorama building. There was too many of these figures and I couldn't display them properly, so I wanted to world build with this. And I think that's what's great about giving us so many of these side characters is you can create all different kinds of scenes and pose them in different ways. So I have two more diorama ideas for this, but let's go through. So I have the NECA Street Scene Toon diorama, and kind of have like the battle going on up here. So Punk Frogs, Baxter, the Mousers, Slash, Dark Turtle Donnie, then April and Vern. I haven't opened my Channel 6 News 4-pack yet because I have something special planned for that. All of the foot soldiers here, and back to back with Leonardo is Casey Jones and Zack, the fifth turtle, fighting off the Ninja Turtle gang. Mondo Gecko sneaking up behind him. So I do kind of like to tell a story with these. Then on the side of the building, I have the pre-mutated gangsters. So this is where I put Bebop, Rocksteady. I have Scrag in his unmutated form. Then Tokar and Raza fighting Raphael. Some more of the Punk Frogs, Roadkill Rodney, and Ground Chuck. Definitely one of my favorite NECA TMNT figures because that was my favorite figure as a kid. And this Dirtbag fighting Michelangelo. And then Ace Duck, even though he never fought with the Turtles, he's battling with Wignut and Screwloose. And I have some of my custom oil drums that I made. So I made that one out of hot glue and just some plastic from an action figure box. There's a battery operated candle under there so I can make the lights flicker. Pretty cool. So there is a sewer diorama coming out from NECA, but I already built mine. I still might get it, but this is the first project that I've ever worked on. And I think this is what kind of got the bug in me to keep creating. But I love everything about the way it came out. You know, it really fueled that passion for creating stuff like this. But I change this up every few months. I do a few different scenes. Normally I don't like the same character on the same shelf, but I don't know where to put that pre-mutated Splinter. But kind of have them on this shelf. He's teaching Leonardo to be a better leader, or just teaching them how they all got their names. Then you have a neutrino in the back. That TV arcade, that is from a loot crate that I didn't get, but my cousin did, and he sent it over to me. Turtles and Usagi are just eating some pizza. Usagi's cutting up that bird. I like how I have Michelangelo holding that pizza. Got Metalhead back there, some pizza monsters. I forgot where I got some of those repro pizza monsters, but NECA only made one kind, and this person on Instagram, he made them in a whole bunch of different poses. If I could figure it out, I'll post the link on this video. Then I have Donnie, my favorite Ninja Turtle. He's playing this pinball machine. I think I found this in like a Cracker Barrel, but it actually does work. But that might make some noise anytime soon, I think. So that should get started. But so after the sewer, all these mutants started coming out, and I needed to make more of a display. So I made this just generic kind of sewer display. And there's some Super 7 mixed up on here, but all these 2-packs we got with these large figures, they all had to go on here. So this is just a kind of, maybe a sewer walkway that the turtles are walking through. Have the Super 7 Sewer Surfer Mike and Undercover Raph back there, as well as Scratch. But I did some resin pour in the sewer, made it green for ooze, and then that is blacklight activated. So if the lights weren't on, you'd be able to see that glow. But I figured I'd put all the random mutants here. Still got that barrier to protect my figures. And then I made those random oil drums as well, looking like the ooze is coming out. So any sewer drilling characters, they get to hang out here as well. And then below, since we're going underground, here is my Technodrome. So I wanted a place for the villains. These are probably some of the bigger figures, so they take up a lot of space. They needed their own room. So this was my second project, I believe. I worked on this right after the sewer diorama. But I just love having a space for all the characters. And this is not really screen accurate. I kind of based this off of an old playset, the Mini Mutants playset. So I wasn't trying to get as screen accurate as possible. I just kind of wanted to take some elements from different inspirations. I made that little gun rack for the foot soldiers. And then on the side, the Trag, Granitor, and the Rock Soldier back there kind of fighting the neutrinos. So everyone has their place. I think if I'm going to do one more for this shelf, I might relocate these movie turtles, and a Dimension X display is probably the next thing I'm going to be working on, so stay tuned for that. Again, just kind of showing you how you can display your figures and have it look super cool. I think this is I would say the crown jewel of this collection tour room. So can't wait to work on more projects this year. Hope this tour wasn't too long. But really, the whole point of collecting figures and building dioramas is so you can display them in an awesome way. And I think that's kind of the whole point of my channel. That's kind of really what I want to help other people do, especially people that are not artists. Like, I'm not an artist at all, and I somehow figured out how to do this. And it might not be perfect, but the feeling of accomplishment when you're done, I mean, it's a great feeling. And then kind of getting the creative wheels turning, you start coming up with original ideas. That, to me, that's the most fun. So I hope you like this video. Hope you like the collection tour. I know it's not the biggest room, but I have a great time building on this room. It's a living, breathing art piece to me. So I hope you enjoyed taking this tour. And if you like this content, hit like, hit subscribe, and ring that bell. Until then, we'll catch you next time.